But really, as I became older, when 13, we'll just say, when I was a teenager, I knew this is what I wanted to do. I knew I was going to help people address these questions that they have. Why are we here? Who are we? Can we connect with the other side? Is it real?
Today's guest is Cheryl Murphy. Cheryl is a psychic medium who has studied metaphysics for over 20 years.
I know that I had an accident on the road at one time, and a gentleman pulled up to help me and my friend in the car. And it was as if an angel stepped into our life for that specific moment. And then I never saw him again. He never introduced himself, but he got us in contact, with help. When my father was transitioning, or right before, he was in the hospital. I had come home from the hospital to his house to just take a moment, catch my breath. No one lived in the house at the time, so it's just me. And I'm walking into all of this music, all of these lights, all of these spirits, all of these relatives that are.
And now for my conversation with Cheryl Murphy.
Hey everyone! I'm really excited to let you know about the science and spirituality salons I'm now hosting. During these intimate events, a scientifically verified psychic medium will give all of you readings, and I will give a talk on the science and evidence that changed my mind about an afterlife. This will also be an amazing opportunity to get to meet some of you in person or virtually, and to share more about all the science and data that transformed my worldview and got me through my worst days. These can be hosted in your home, in a nearby cafe with a private room, or they can even be virtual. I've hosted a few already, and they were really special, fascinating, emotional, evidential. So if you're interested in getting a small group together over dinner, brunch, drinks, coffee, to learn more about the science and to get evidential medium readings, send me an email at hello@wtfjusthappened.net and put science and spirituality. Today I'm speaking with psychic medium Cheryl Murphy. Welcome, Cheryl.
Hi, thanks for having me today. I love your program, by the way, so I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thanks. I'm excited to have you. Tell us a little bit about your abilities.
Yeah, so I like to call myself a psychic medium, or a medium first and then a psychic, because I do a lot of mediumship readings where I connect with the other side. But I'm also an author, a public speaker. I've do animal communication. I feel drawn to do a lot of health and wellness intuitive readings lately too. But mostly I'm a medium and a psychic, to where I help people, whether they have challenging problems in their life today, or perhaps they're experiencing grief or loss and they're asking for a reading to connect with their loved ones.
And just for our listeners, can you explain exactly what is the difference between a psychic reading and a medium reading?
So a psychic reading and a mediumship reading is a soul-to-soul connection. Now, when I'm working with psychic readings, I'm working with people who have problems right now in their life. If they're at a crossroads, or, if they're feeling stuck, maybe they have questions around relationships or career moves. So a psychic reading is a soul-to-soul connection with me and the person I'm working with directly in front of me, where a mediumship reading is working with the departed loved ones. And that is also a soul-to-soul connection. I like to think of it as a trinity. So I'm working with the soul of the departed loved ones, but also I'm still working with the sitter, is like what we like to call them, or the person in front of me. So it's like a trinity of three souls in perfect harmony, really to provide healing, to provide insight and support. I connect with departed loved ones and animals in spirit as well.
Now, how is it the difference for you, if there is a difference experientially between a psychic reading and a medium reading? And how can you tell if, how you're getting the information?
It's a good question. When I'm in my mediumship readings connecting with loved ones who have departed, For example, last night I connected with a father who brought through evidence or information that could be validated and confirmed. And that is really a great way for someone who's going for a reading to ask or to hopefully expect that this father, not only did we talk about his personality and what he liked to do in his spare time, but also some really good memories he shared with the sitter that I was sitting across from. And it really touched her. We were working with his daughter, and she was so lovely, and she could understand everything that was coming through. She understood the signs that he was giving her, like coins. He drops coins in front of her sometimes. She could understand that. Versus a psychic reading. So when I step into psychic readings, I'm helping people by looking at their auric field or the energy around them, where I can see, I'm not a fortune teller, but I like to tell people I see potential in the future for them. Because at any given moment or time, our lives can change with every thought, feeling, and action. But for the moment, I like to tell people in a psychic reading, any health concerns that I'm picking up, or any relationship concerns, or, asking and supporting people. A lot of people have questions if they're on the right path. I get asked that a lot. So I like to help people with that, a life path reading in some way.
And how can you tell? Is it like, do you hear it verbally? I guess what people call clairaudiently. Do you just feel it? Like, what is it sensorially like for you?
For me, I am multi-clair, I guess you could say. So I'm hearing, right? I'm doing the clairaudience, but I'm also feeling with the clairsentience. I'm seeing with the clairvoyance, and also knowing with the claircognizance, which is inner knowing. But even sometimes what's amazing about the spirit world, and I work with, smelling and tasting, for example. Like if I could smell your grandmother's pasta sauce in the kitchen, wouldn't that be great validation because you have a great memory or experience of that? Or if I tasted, medicine or even cigarette smoke, sometimes you can smell or taste that. Or even flowers is a beautiful fragrance to have. But these things help me in both of my readings, whether I'm working psychically or medium mystically.
And when did you first realize you had abilities?
My mom is psychic, my mother, and it turns out as I'm growing up, I'm learning that the women in our family are psychic too. And I am learning that I have a great great grandmother who is Cherokee. And that kind of starts making sense as I'm getting older because I'm seeing spirit at about the age of 3 or so. I'm seeing the balls of golden light in my room. I'm seeing this beautiful supportive love. I see spirit working with me, and I know I'm here for a short period of time, so to speak. Like I've been on earth before and I'm back and they're coming to cheer me on, so to speak. But as I grow up, I'm learning, my mother has books around the house by Edgar Cayce, Sylvia Browne, right? A lot of these great works that, not everyone would talk about this topic when I was growing up. This wasn't something you could walk out of your house and be accepted, and nor did people know what psychic or medium was. And there might have even been a little bit of fear around that word, a little taboo feeling. But really, as I became older, when 13, we'll just say, when I was a teenager, I knew this is what I wanted to do. I knew I was going to help people address these questions that they have. Why are we here? Who are we? Can we connect with the other side? Is it real? Where is heaven? These questions. So I really sought out, and even in my college years, to go that route. I really wanted to get a degree in that field. And I ended up getting degrees in psychology and then more degrees in counseling. So I really wanted to help people understand and empower people to know that this is natural. It's not supernatural or paranormal. It's more normal and natural. I think we've just forgotten it because we were conditioned. It was conditioned out of us, so to speak, when we were young, or we were afraid of it. But a lot of people get on this path and they get curious, whether it's through grief or loss of a loved one, and they want to connect and find out what the spirit world's all about, or even people who find that they are psychic and intuitive and they want to learn more. because you can study this and develop it. I'd like to say it's like a muscle, it's like a bicep, right? We have it, we have the ability, but if you practice and practice, and if you develop and learn, you can really develop and deepen your connection with spirit.
And so it sounds like you're saying you think everybody has this ability.
They do. Everybody is psychic. Everybody's intuitive. Everyone's psychic. And really, most people are mediums themselves. So when they come to me to connect with their departed loved ones, that's my job, is to do that, to be the voice of the spirit world, but also to reassure, whether it's through validating or confirming to people that they are seeing the signs. Because I do get asked that a lot. Am I seeing the signs? Is it really them? Is this just a coincidence? It's like, no, it's not. It's synchronicity, and it's the spirit world, your loved ones, your angels, your guides, sending you thousands of signs every day. It's really up to us if we remember the questions we're asking, or even to recognize the signs.
So I should ask, what are angels and guides? Are they like our
Yeah.
loved ones who passed away? Are they like ancestors? And what is the difference between an angel and a guide?
Right. They can be absolutely, your departed loved ones can be your guides, and also your ancestors. Also, we have guides such as saints, or, for example, Buddha or Jesus Christ or Mother Mary. These are absolutely guides in your life, or any other deity, for example, that you're attracted to, or even someone that you looked up to, like a mentor. That could be a guide for you when you're studying this or wanting to connect with your intuition more. And the difference between guides and angels, I feel, is that guides, we have met them before we came into this lifetime, and we kind of got together and wrote down what we want to work on, right? We said we want to learn lessons on compassion or healing or forgiveness, and our guides help to support that in our life. Angels, on the other hand, I feel we have thousands of angels. I believe that with every wish you have, there's an angel to answer it. And I do believe angels can help support us, or really give us warnings. I mean, we sometimes, you may have had this experience where a human being actually saves your life, and you know it was an angel coming in to give you that message and then leave. I know that I had an accident on the road at one time, and a gentleman pulled up to help me and my friend in the car, and it was as if an angel stepped into our life for that specific moment. And then I never saw him again. He never introduced himself, but he got us in contact, with help. It's amazing. People, I do believe angels can actually work through people to help save lives, or to stop them from danger. We'll just say that, right?
And so, well, first of all, I'm sorry you went through an accident. That must have been really
Yeah, thank you. It
terrifying. I'm
was,
glad you're
I was with
okay.
a friend, and thank you, and we were fine. But it was
Good.
kind of a late night out in the middle of, the mountains. So it was truly like an angel uh, meeting, or an angel uh, saving me. Yeah.
And do you think he was an actual human? Because I've heard of weird stories where people will say someone was with
Yeah.
them during an accident and then no one else
Well,
saw that person. Or
it's true.
do you
I,
do you think he was
I
a human who an
mhm.
angel like directed him to help you, or some discerned
Exactly.
entity, or but you think he was a real person on the
Yes,
planet?
I think it's both. I really do. I think angels will come in and help support us, but I feel in that situation that was a human being guided. Perhaps his intuition was very open to receiving that message or that nudge to pull over and help, because it could have been anyone at any time. And it's amazing, the synchronicity. It's an angelic intervention, so to speak, when it's just so synchronistic that it just worked out so well. Because once again, it was late at night. Our cell phones weren't working in that part of the mountains, and then, I mean, he just pulled up. It was incredible, really, when no one's around. So
And I know this is not an easy answer question, but why do you think some people are helped and others sadly are not in those
yeah,
situations?
I think angels are always around, helping people in different situations, for different reasons. So it could have been part of maybe they weren't helped in that moment, but then the lesson came at a different time, or the assistance came beforehand. But I do believe guides are also helpers, but for me, guides are more teachers, right? So I feel guides are more teachers, and angels kind of, they're there to help you manifest. They're there to help you support. They're there to help things work out for you, like Archangel Michael. I mean, what a strength, I always ask people, do they know who their angels are, or go to Archangel Michael. He is the main, so to speak, angel. He's on our planet right now. He's been here for several years. That's why so many people do connect with that angelic energy of him. But ask him first for anything that you need, and he'll find that answer, or he'll remove those blocks or those barriers in your life.
And who is he? Was he a person at some point? Is he someone who's always was sort of like a discarnate energy?
Yeah.
Like, what is his story?
I do believe Archangel Michael, along with many angels, never came into a life form or a human body, so to speak. But they absolutely have that higher knowing, or that presence, that once again, of divine love and of unconditional love, and about helping us understand to treat ourselves with kindness, to be kind to others, really knowing that there are miracles happening every day. Really, every moment of every day is a miracle.
What's like the best miracle you've heard of, either from a client, or I think all of us could use a little hope right now, probably.
That is for sure. Well, people, I do say, believe in your dreams. Okay. Believe that your dreams are your loved ones connecting to you. A lot of people ask me, is it real that I saw my grandmother in a dream? And I want to say, yes, that's the easiest way for them to connect with us, is through our dream state. And miracles for me are, for example, I had a visitation from my brother who is departed. And, visitations are dreams, but they're more than a dream. They're so memorable, and they're so real and visceral. You could feel it or sense them or even touch them in this dream. And that's what I want people to realize, is that anytime you have problems or worries or concerns, ask your departed loved ones, and ask those guides and angels. Be open to dreaming if you want to, and write it down. That's even better. That helps you remember the dreams, if we can take notes or write after. Because once you start dreaming, and you can write down your questions that you have for your loved ones, it'll start working more for you, right? You're going to build on that energy.
And now, what was the most evidential experience you've had, both in your personal life and giving readings to other people?
So it was one of my memories, experiences that's most evidential is I've a contributing author in a book that's out now. It's called The Last Breath, True Stories of Mediumship and the Afterlife. My title of that chapter is called Spirit Party. And I titled it that because when my father was transitioning, or right before, he was in the hospital. I had come home from the hospital to his house to just take a moment, catch my breath. No one lived in the house at the time, so it's just me. And I'm walking into all of this music, all of these lights, all of these spirits, all of these relatives that are in discarnate form, but they're alive and they're thrilling and they're getting busy. They're planning a party for my father's transition. It's a welcoming party. And I have such great memories of trying to make my way through the kitchen even of my father's home, and I feel like I'm being bumped or nodded, or and I have spirits walking around with clipboards and planners, and I see streamers in the living room, welcoming my father. So it's really that experience that is so real to me. And even as I make my way through the kitchen, as I said, I get to the other side and I'm hearing my clairaudience. It's time to go back. You've got to go back. You've got to go back now. And we're going to make every, light on the street green for you so you can get there quicker, because it was a few miles away. So once again, I jump in my car and I hit every green light to get back in time only to realize that my father was preparing to transition at that moment. Now, when he's transitioning, I want to say the angels were there. Loved ones are there. No one dies alone. That's like a continuation of this amazing experience. Is my father was not alone. My father had his loved ones, his wife, my stepmother. Um, my brother was there who had passed years before. So no one dies alone. And if I could have that experience, I know that it's open to everyone.
And that sounds like a shared death experience, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that what that's called? You
Yes,
sort of transitioned with him to that other dimension at the
it's
moment.
amazing. And I'm so glad you brought that up because a lot of people haven't heard that term, shared death experience. And it's really important because people, I do feel when you're with your loved ones, that you're close to that are transitioning, you too, your energy field is open, like beyond the veil, so to speak. And you are also experiencing the enormity of the divine love, of the welcoming, of the spirit world. I mean, your vibration's higher. It's as if things are not as they seem. You're in an altered state, so to speak. Things are not as they seem. And it's as if, the light has opened up for you as well to experience the love that your loved ones are experiencing and moving to.
Are you familiar with the work of William Peters, who researches shared death experiences and writes
No,
about them?
no, I'm
Oh,
not. I will
I
have to
will.
write that down.
I'll send it to you. Yes, he's been on this podcast too, and he has, I believe, his even it's like called the Shared Death Experience Institute, or I don't remember exactly, but I will send you his
Oh,
link. So it's
I would love that because I have heard other people talk about shared death experiences, but very rarely, or maybe right now it's becoming more mainstream. How's that?
yeah. I would guess
Mhm.
all this has always been mainstream. It's just people are talking about it now, and they
Yeah.
didn't used to, or now
Well,
the internet, you can say it and other people recognize it.
and to add to our conversation, I mean, there's a lot of people having these spiritual awakenings right now, and have been for the last few years. I know that right around the 2020 pandemic time, when people were at home, I believe what happened is a lot of people opened up energetically, spiritually then because their energy field was very, very open. They had to think outside of the box, so to speak, because life was different. So then they were in creative mode. So that's very, very intuitive when you start creating and thinking about how you can manage or manifest. So a lot of people were asking those questions, what's next, or what's for me, or how do I stay? They were asking the big universal questions that we all were, right? Who am I? Where are we going? What's happening? But also, how can I experience and make the most of my life? And these spiritual awakenings that people are having, every one of us is going through a transformation of some type.
Right. That's just what humans are doing, you mean, no matter
Yeah.
what, is to go
No
through a
matter what, no matter
transformation.
what, I think there was a big surge for the last 4 or 5 years of people. But as we're moving into this fifth dimensional reality, a lot more people are waking up to their own, inner strength, their own inner healing ability. They're asking more questions, trying different alternative healings on ways to heal themselves. That's fifth dimensional when we start looking beyond and realizing that we're a participant, in our own health. Positive affirmations are very, very healthy. To be kind, use kind words on how you treat yourself, of course, on how you treat others, but realize that we are creating our life and our world every day, every day.
And that's
Yeah.
what fifth dimensional means, kind of understanding this whole non-physical dimension that we're connected to.
Right. Fifth dimensional, exactly. Fifth dimensional means we're stepping into more of our natural ability as a spiritual being having a human experience, and that we move more into the future by using our intuition more, right? We're using more of what does your heart feel at this moment? Rather than using the intellect so much, we're using more of a heart intelligence, we'll say.
Be fascinating to watch. It sounds more encouraging than I've been feeling about the world. So I think I needed you on today because I have been feeling so discouraged. Um,
Oh
So
gosh. Well,
they,
when that happens, just to share with you, when that happens, something's happening or something is awakening within us, especially when we have pain in our body, so to speak. So when you have pain in your body, it could also mean that something is surfacing, an old thought or an old belief. It's like there's a lot of clearing going on. So just to let you know, it is that time of in our lives and in this world, it's so important. We're in such a historical time right now of where are we going next? So
oof.
be
And you
grounded.
think it's not as dark as it looks where we're going. It doesn't look like we're going very good places, but
Be grounded, right? Everyone should be practicing grounding right now. Every day, go out and connect with Mother Nature, drink water, practice self care, read or talk inspirational material to let more light into your life. But it is about connecting with Mother Earth because I know she's going to help us get through it because the power that you and I and everyone we're emitting or we're learning about, we want to be in the body. The body is our healthy, safe space, so, for example. So the more love and you can treat yourself with, the more self-care you can practice, the more you're able to cope or navigate your way in what's to come and what's to unfold for you.
I think probably our listeners also need to hear that because
Yeah.
sometimes, you feel stuck in this terrors or hopelessness and, you don't really know how to heal that or how to do.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps people.
Yeah.
I do also want to ask you, you mentioned animals. I get a lot of
I
emails
know.
from people like wanting to know, is it possible to connect with my animal? I have lost multiple animals and the grief is real, it's
Yeah.
tough. Yeah. So
Some people have more grief over losing their animals than their humans because that's just the relationship we bond with. Not for everybody, but
of
sometimes because
course.
animals are, they may be your only friend in your life, or they could be your best friend at a time when you needed them most and you carry that bond with them. I do believe animals are soulmates as well. And I do believe their souls go to heaven because sometimes people wonder, where do animals go when they die? Do they go somewhere different? It's like, no, your loved ones, your departed loved ones, your humans have your pets and your animals. I do feel like animals are so underestimated, not by everybody, but they are so intelligent, and I do believe they can see the future. I know that my little dog Tiger, we were well, first off, Tiger adopted me because he was my father's dog after my father's passing. Tiger adopted me. And I said, where do you want to move to next? Like, what's our life going to unfold? We took the time to grieve and to really practice self care. And, I felt Tiger really sending me images of a house that we were going to move to. But I had no idea that was going to happen. So I kept that image that he sent me in my mind's eye. And sure enough, just within days later, a friend calls and needs some help caretaking for a home that looks just like the house that my friend Tiger showed me. So I think they can help you. I think very telepathically. I think they're very clairvoyant as well. And if you're open to it, they'll send you images in your mind's eye. They'll send you words or thoughts or feelings that you can open up to because they're very much wanting to communicate and support us. Their energy is so much higher because they really do have that pure, unconditional love. So, yeah, I do believe animals are so important for people, for all of us to connect with.
And are you able to connect both
Mhm.
psychically with living animals as well
Mhm.
as mediumistically with animals
I
who've
am.
passed?
I do. So, for example, I just had 2 readings in the past 2 days. One was with someone who had just lost their dog, their pet friend. So I did a reading for a departed animal who had passed. But then the prior day, I had helped someone whose animal, their pet dog, ran away. So still living, but ran away. So I'm doing almost, a remote viewing in that way, right? Where we're scanning the grounds and I was giving her markers or, places to look that she could understand where that was. So you look, I work with living animals as well, because a lot of times they have behavioral problems, or at least we humans think they do. Maybe it's more us that need the training sometimes, but maybe they have questions that the human feels they're not getting. They don't know how to take care of their animal, or what is my animal? What's my pet trying to say to me? Or am I giving them enough love? Do they know how much I love them? So I do work with animals living, and then also departed animals.
And did you find the runaway animal or not yet? Or have you ever
Not
found
yet.
runaway
I know it
animals?
just happened. I know I'm staying in touch with her. So we're still working on it. But yes, I do. And I also have been a volunteer for helping find missing persons as well. So I've worked on cold cases, or, it depends, if the person, if it just happened, especially children, of course, they're bumped to the front of the line. But, yes, me and a group of other, retired intuitives or retired law enforcement, we volunteer our time looking for people using latitude, longitude, using Google Earth, so to speak, giving cues of where we feel this person is or what happened to them.
Oh, so you work
I
with
know.
law
Yes.
enforcement. It's intuitives
Well,
and law enforcement collaborating on that.
correct. And it's through a company called findmegroup.org. A retirement law enforcement officer started this nonprofit, and fortunately, he has rescue. He has police dogs that can help with sniffing them out, or he has access to helicopters if we need to go up high, or an aerial view. But yes, it's not only myself, but many intuitives and many people who want to help and be of service. This is strictly a volunteer basis, but there is a protocol that we follow to help. Yeah.
Are you able to share what the protocol is, or no?
Yeah, well, and just to let you know, it's all private information. The only time we find out if we were right in our investigation is if it's public knowledge. So just to share with you that, because we want to save we want to be respectful of the families, of these people. But yes, what we do is we do look, as I mentioned, on Google Earth. We do only know the facts. We only know a few facts. We tune into the names or the date of birth, where they were last seen, and then we go from there. And then it's really about remote viewing or sitting and connecting in a psychic way. So I'll use my psychic abilities to connect with that soul of the person and or the animal to find out what I can offer. And I have a paperwork I have to fill out, right? We all have paperwork we turn in. And then this company or this organization, they collect all, and it has to be, they collect all the data. And within the data, they look for similarities or commonalities, because there could be a few of us that are picking up on the same information.
If you want to learn how I went from being a skeptical atheist who thought there was zero chance of an afterlife to a skeptical atheist who thinks an afterlife is highly probable, come check out my books. WTF Just Happened.
And
Yeah.
you don't ever find out if your results were accurate.
Only if it becomes public knowledge, right? Like if you see it in the newspaper or if it's on the news, what have you. So yeah, that's really the only time. And there's a lot of cases. If anyone's ever interested or feel like they can contribute, please volunteer and help. Yeah.
That
But
is
never,
fascinating.
yeah,
I
you would
didn't
never
even
go
know
straight to the
about that.
family. You want to work through an organization who's taking care of it. I mean, my goal is to be the intuitive, and that's really my expertise. So that's where I'll focus, and I'll let them do what they do, But yeah, it's really fascinating. But yeah, you would never go to the family directly. You always work through an organization, I would say, unless I was contacted by someone.
And is that just out of respect to the family, or is it like a risk you could read the
Absolutely.
parents psychically or
No,
anything and
no, it's
interference?
absolutely respect and professional etiquette of the medium, of the intuitive. And yeah, it's definitely etiquette and total respect for privacy. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's you're not told based on respect of the family, not, or is it based on something where it interferes with your ability? I know some of
Oh,
the
I see. Hmm.
studies in Windbridge, like mediums are not
Hmm.
allowed to know their results because they can't eliminate. They were looking into the future and then see, so they can't even know
Yeah.
their results in a lot of tests. Is it
Hmm.
more like that, or is it a respect and privacy thing that you don't
Yeah,
get your
more of a
results?
respect and privacy thing, because if I did see it on the news or an article in the newspaper come through, that would be exciting and that would be validating and confirmation. But so it's not like withheld from me in any way. It is, once again, when it makes the public news, that's when I am informed. And really, people don't. I do this. I do this on my own time. I volunteer for it, and it's something that I try to do to give back. It's how I
Mhm.
feel about that. So there's a lot of people that could use
Mhm.
more intuitives right out there helping them.
I
And law
love that you.
enforcements are very intuitive, by the way. They're very intuitive. Um, you know,
And I guess two questions. First, why do you think then we always hear law enforcements would never use psychic mediums? Is that just a reputation thing, or?
well, I think, there's probably a lot of, they have to follow the regulations and the guidelines. And, I'm sure that everything has to be factual and you have to have proof, and so I believe they're more open to it now. I believe that uh, there are mediums being trained in psychic investigation, so they know how to proceed in contacting law enforcement and asking if they could help. So there are ways to do it that are respectful. And, we're not trying to do someone's job for them. We're trying to add and help. Really, that's really the goal. But sometimes you could, be stepping on police stations, you could be stepping on their toes, or going about the wrong channels. You can be going about it the wrong way. So you want to absolutely look into it and study it before you step into that. Yeah.
Oh, first, I love that you do that, and I find it fascinating
It
too.
is fascinating.
Is there a case you're able to share that, or have you gotten positive results in a case, or is it I don't want to be disrespectful to
Yeah.
families if
Yeah.
it's not something you can share,
Yeah.
or.
I don't believe it's something I can share, but we have gotten positive results. And I'll just tell you, it wasn't in this country; it was in other countries too. Because missing persons could be in this our country, but then they travel, right? And then that's so. I have worked with outside our country, the U.S. So just to tell you, it's pretty amazing, and there is a lot of good people out there helping. Yeah.
Ooh, I'm fascinated. God, I'd love to get like a police officer who works with psychics on the show if I could ever. I'll
Oh,
have to look into
that would be great.
that at
Yeah.
some
Well, I would
point. Yeah.
encourage you to look for psychic investigations, because
Hmm.
usually there could be some law enforcement involved. When mediums or intuitive psychics are learning the craft of psychic investigation, like what is the protocol? How do I do this? Um, because you really do want to be laser focused and disciplined and respectful, and go about it the professional way. You want to do things the right way.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah,
sense. And I mentioned remote viewing. I mean, the CIA and Army used remote viewers. I mean, it just seems
it's
like a lot of the.
amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there are some great courses out there on remote viewing, by
Well,
the way.
it
Yeah.
is really fascinating that you just, you don't hear. You're not really taught how much law enforcement or
Mhm.
government of, CIA, Army works with
Right, right, right.
all
And
this.
if I just may say, my great aunt,
Mhm.
so I'm growing up, right? I'm just a little child here, and I'm learning at that time from my ancestors, or from my mother, my grandmother, that our great aunt was hired by the government to find a missing pilot and plane back in the day. This was, probably the 50s,
Wow. And
1950s. And the Air Force hired my great aunt because they could not, with their radar and sonar, and it was in the mountains, and I don't know if it was the weather, but they were not able to locate with the technology they had, the pilot and the plane, and she found them. And it was incredible. And the pilot was dead. She said, I'll find them, but I just want you to know I've already tuned in and he's passed. And they said, please help us, because they had a suspicion that might be the case, but she was able to locate. So it's incredible. And you would never have heard that back now. I mean, back then you wouldn't have heard that. I mean, the government hiring someone,
You
Yeah.
still don't hear much of it. I mean, first of all,
Yeah.
amazing. Did she use psychic abilities,
She
mediumship,
was
remote viewing? Psychic.
very much
Okay.
psychic, very much psychic. I would say very claircognizant, and definitely tuned in to spirit as well, but probably more psychic at that time. Yeah, and the plane and the pilot were like hundreds of yards apart, and she found both of them, or she was able to give them enough information for them to locate. Yeah,
Oh,
incredible.
that is. Yeah, I mean, we still, even if, some of us might say it's more open, we still don't hear much about this. Like, I've done a lot of digging to find out, even the Stargate government remote viewing. Most people I talk to don't know about it. So hopefully more and more people will start to learn or give it credibility. And
Yeah,
I mean, I just find it fascinating.
Remote viewing is fascinating, and I've taught classes in it. I've taken classes in it. For anyone that's interested, I would encourage them to give remote viewing a try. And really, it is amazing how you can focus. You have that third eye or that psychic eye. You have that ability. I think a lot of people don't realize how intuitive they are until they try a remote viewing class.
And you said you teach remote viewing as well as psychic and mediumship development.
Yes, I don't teach it specifically as its own class, but I teach it in my mentorship with my other classes. Like, it's part of a class. We try it. There's no pressure. You certainly don't want pressure to happen. And yeah, you try it a few times, right? You can get a brown envelope, for example, and put an image inside the brown envelope. And on the outside of the brown envelope, you can write a series of numbers. And then you would show that brown envelope to your sitters or your mediums, your psychics, show them and they focus on the numbers. And then they get back to you with an image of what's inside the envelope. And that's a practice session. And then then you pull the image out and show them, because usually they can get most of that image correct, right? Whether they see something tall and concrete, that could be a building, or maybe they feel like it's a mountain scene out in nature with a big lake out and a lot of water. That could be another image that they draw. So, it's really interesting. I think it's fascinating, and I think people will learn a lot about their own intuition, their own abilities by giving it a try.
And how do you personally experience the difference? How is it for you getting information psychically versus remote viewing?
Yeah. Well, in remote viewing, I'm actually kind of traveling, we'll just say. When I'm working psychically with someone, I'm like right here, right across from them on a computer or in person, and I'm working with them and their own energy field. Remote viewing, I step into a meditation or an altered state, and I let the image unfold in front of me, so to speak, or I let the image unfold in a meditation. And I ask for images, right? So I'm asking because spirit knows I'm going to draw something, but that's how I do it. When in remote viewing, it's more about being patient, where being psychic, the energy is very active when you're working with the person. Like, they might be talking to me at the same time we're asking questions or dialoguing. And so that energy's very much more moving, I'll just say that. So you have to almost get the image or get the information in that moment.
And I'm going to go back a little bit back to animals.
Yeah, we love animals.
I love animals. Oh, I have a dog and cat now that I just love so much. And I have a lot of them on the other side who I think about a lot.
Oh, yeah, they're our teachers.
They are. And our teachers and our babies and our family.
Yes.
They're perfect.
They are.
Is it experientially different for you connecting with a human versus an animal? And
Hmm.
like, if an animal can't speak, how does it give you information? What's it like for you?
Hmm. So that's another great question. I've never been asked that question before. So I kind of had to think about that. But I feel, because I feel spirit, so I'm sensing them first. And then when I connect with them, I'm hearing them. I'm, they're giving me thoughts in my mind, or they're giving me an image. So, working with animals, it's a very light energy. It's very high vibration, very light. It's usually a lot of images that they send me and hearing because they're talking to me, or they give me feeling. Where when I'm working with a human, it's a little bit heavier energy. Not to say that, but it is. It's more of I guess maybe because I'm human, maybe that's why. Like I'm relating to someone who was in a human body, and so um, in a physical form, excuse me, and in that way. So in that way, I feel it to be a little bit heavier. Um, and both of them are just as emotional, though. They are so emotional. And usually animals are very positive and supportive and want you to know they're okay, where humans, they want to apologize for something maybe they did wrong, but they too want to support us by sharing memories or telling us what they're learning over there or who they're with. So it's very similar, but it is very different too. Mhm. Yeah.
And I want to ask, like, how can we stay in contact with our loved ones, with our animals, with our people,
Hmm.
aside from going to a medium, which is a
Yeah.
great supplement? But, some of us are used to seeing this person every day or talking to them
I
every
know
day.
it's
And
so, and we have to understand that there is loss and that we love them and that we're going to feel pain, in our hearts. I want to say it is from the heart connection, though, that we can connect with our animals or our humans who are departed. It's through the love we have for them. And to know that you thinking about them is connecting with them, or you thinking about them and sending them your love is connecting them. So it is that heart to heart connection where we communicate with the heart, whether our loved ones, whether we're in pain, we're sharing that with them, or when we're having a great day, when we want them to know that we graduated or we had a grandchild. It's those moments of celebration, but also of pain. But really, I want to say, I my goal is to share with people that your loved ones, they're always here. Your animals, they're always here. That we live in the spirit world. You and I, we're in spirit world. We are spirits. You and I, we are spiritual beings. We are already vibrating in that divine love frequency. We just kind of forgot about it. But if we can raise our vibration or tune in with the love, hope, and joy that everything's possible, then we can feel that frequency of perhaps feeling them put their hand over ours or their little furry paw over our hand, where we can feel the sensations of them being around. And a lot of people can take that. They can say, oh, I felt them around, or I felt them looking over my shoulder, or I feel my little dog near me, right? Those are spirits. Those are your loved ones connecting with you, is what I want to say. People say, well, I don't think it's real, though, or I have doubt, or could it be? You think it is. And then, sure enough, when they get validation and confirmation from a medium or in a reading, then they start stepping into the belief that it's possible and that it can happen. It can happen, and then they step into the next phase of it's real. I know it's real. So you go from a lot of self-doubt and skepticism, which is perfectly fine. I welcome that. We all welcome that. Skepticism creates more questions. So it's like, yeah, go ahead. I mean, you got some great questions to ask, I bet. But that is also sparking the energy of spirit and bringing it through. So you go from, once again, the doubt to the belief that it's possible, and then into the knowing and into the appreciation and the gratitude of receiving those amazing messages.
yeah, I know I got a little bit few times I've seen my animals and gotten verification. Like once my cat came in very strongly and I told her I love you. You know, I was in that hypnagogic half asleep state and she was there and purring like much, much stronger than dream. And I so much I loved her. And I also told her I'm skeptical and don't believe it. I need more verification. I woke up to an email from a medium I'm friends with, but not good enough friends that she knew about my cat. And she's like, do you have a cat? And described my cat exactly. And she's like, I had a dream about your cat. And basically your cat was like, tell my mom, like,
Oh,
you know, yeah. Once
that is such synchronistic that you can't deny it. And
Mhm.
you know, how perfect that you looked at the email.
What's the strongest evidence you've encountered of an afterlife?
Well, just to share with you, I did a house clearing one time, and a house clearing is when the owner contacts a medium because there's phenomena, psychic phenomena happening in the house. This happened to have been a bed and breakfast, so it was a commercial building. And she was having, you know, pots and pans in the kitchen or doors closing and lights coming off and on. And it wasn't anything that she was aware of other than her tenants were complaining or they were scared and she needed to book these rooms for a bed and breakfast. And anyway, so we bring over a medium, myself and a colleague, and we are connecting with this very old building that was in the South, and it was a multifunctional building at one time. So it's a couple of hundred years old, and we have to remember that the multi-use building at one time it was a horse stables that we discovered, or we knew it was a hospital at one time, right? We knew it was a morgue. Or, you know, once again, it was a police station, for example. So it served many purposes. So there's a lot of energy, even pent up energy in this house. And that's what it was. It was just a lot of energy pent up and it needed a release valve. It was an amazing event, though, because when I was clearing it with my colleague, we used a candle, darkened the room, and the wind came through the windows and blew the candle out. We saw the latch, which was stuck previously. The latch to this door on the ceiling had been stuck in our assessment. It became unstuck, and this huge funnel of energy just went straight up. And that's with this energy being released. But also, we were understanding, or we were tuned in to the different dimensions of spirit. So, for example, the coal miners that were coming through, they were on one dimension. For example, the doctors, the hospital were on another dimension because we could hear like instruments being passed around or sterilized, so to speak, that feeling of a hospital setting. We heard horses on another dimension. So as you're clearing this, you're feeling this viscerally, you're hearing it objectively, meaning everybody in the room can hear what's going on. It was a tremendous experience. And ever since then, this owner of the bed and breakfast has not had any problems. So, and it's been calm and quiet.
And all of you there heard the same thing and saw the same
Yes,
things.
and
And did you see as well as hear?
we could feel and see spirit behind us. We felt them coming. It's almost like they're coming through the walls or they're coming into the room that we're in, and they want help or they want to know what's going on. They want to help us out. So it wasn't anything scary, but yes, we saw, you know, I saw a female, I saw the coal miners with their gear on and the coals on their coal on their faces. We saw a little girl. We saw the doctors. So yes, we could see objectively. And we were all, the two of us, we were seeing the same thing.
And that's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. It's fascinating. And to tell you, the owner of the bed and breakfast, we wanted her to be a part of it too, because she's the owner of the property now. So we asked her to sit in with us, which she was very willing to do. But yes, it was an incredible experience. But it means so much that the owner, the current owner of the property, is at that meeting when we're there.
And then I want to ask you, is it, I know you offer in-person readings and phone readings, and a lot of people are concerned about phone reading. They don't really understand how could their loved one even come through. How does that work, and what is the difference for you and the accuracy of the reading and all of that?
Right. Well, their loved ones come through on a phone reading because they're on the phone with me and they have a need to connect with their loved ones. That's why they're showing up. And their loved ones may have a need to deliver a message, and that's why they're showing up too. So, people, if you want to work on the phone with me, that's fine. The phone can even be somewhat more objectified because we don't see the person we're working with, meaning the client. I don't see what they're wearing or their mannerisms while I'm only connecting to their loved one in spirit. But also, I work with people on Zoom, on video. So I do work with people visually. And also, I see pictures of their departed loved ones or their furry animals. But energy is everywhere. Energy exists everywhere at an instant. So we can feel energy anywhere around the world or even anywhere in the universe, so to speak. But yes, the reason why it works is because my client has a need to connect with their loved ones in spirit, and also the loved ones in spirit have a need to connect with the client, with their daughter or their son or their wife. And that's why it works, is because it's the intelligence of the spirit world.
And now, do you have any tips for those in deep grief or,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
early grief or
Mm-hmm.
really any grief, no matter what stage you're in? Grief's just awful.
It is awful. And well, number one is take time to grieve. We need to treat it as a sacred or something to honor not only our loved ones who have passed, but ourselves. We're in a lot of pain, or there's a lot of inner work to do during grief, and we want to take that time and we want to seek a support group or seek friends. But having help to get through it or to just get feelings off your chest is so therapeutic. And another tip is not to compare your grief or your grieving with someone else's grief. It's different for everybody at every time, and everybody acts differently, right? There's no timeline on grief either. Some people grieve or still grieving for years and years, but sometimes it's a little bit less for others. But it's not to rush it either. Like you can kind of feel like when you're grieving, how it wells up, the tears and the heartache, and then it kind of subsides and you're okay for a little while, and then it wells up again, or you just saw a memory or a photograph, and it wells up again. That's fine. There's no wrong way to grieve. It's normal. However you grieve is the best. Just know that you're loved, your loved ones are caring for you in spirit, and please reach out to someone who can help you.
And if someone has never had a medium reading before, do you have tips for them? I know it can be a little scary or intimidating what to
It
do.
can be. I always say, if you've never had a reading with a medium, go to someone that you're referred to first off, use a referral basis, and then go with an open mind and an open heart and expect to receive the information that's most appropriate for you at this time. It may not be the information you're looking for, but it may mean something to you later. Like after you've digested the reading, you've sat with it, you may understand greater that you are supposed to receive exactly what you did receive. And that is how a lot of it works too. The information either means something to you then, or I'll say, look, keep it in your back pocket or write it down. The information I'm giving you may mean something to it later. And sure enough, that's exactly what happens. People go home and they remember, oh, I remembered my name of my uncle that passed, or that's right, or I remember, that's what happens. It's a little bit of a psychic amnesia. But go with an open mind and open heart, and really just have gratitude that it's really a very special experience, and it's such an honor to be a medium, and it's a privilege really to help deliver the messages or be the voice for the spirit world.
Yeah. I think one thing that helped me that I didn't understand as much at first is that it's like playing charades versus being on a direct phone call. So,
Yeah.
some people will be like, well, if they passed away, why don't they sit down and say, well, I am Liz's father and I was born on this date and she was born on this date and we lived here. I'm like, well, because they don't have vocal cords like they would like to. But I don't think, it seems to be like
Well,
you
and
can't communicate that way from what I understand.
and sometimes and sometimes they don't give that information because you already know that information. Like, why would we spend the short time we have working with this medium to bring through information that you do know? I mean, yes, there's evidence and confirmation and validation, but wouldn't you want to? I mean, sometimes the loved ones in spirit, they're just so enjoyed to be with us, number one, but they want to share memories. That's what I had once again, the girl last night I worked with, her father was sharing memories of when she was a child, that only she knew about. It's that's the connection, is when you can bring through their essence. As a medium, that's my goal, is to bring through the essence of your loved ones to help you feel them as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now lastly, where can our loved ones find you, follow you, take a class, get a reading, all of the above?
My website is mediumcheryl.com, and you can also follow me on social. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Medium Cheryl.
If you want to learn how I went from being a skeptical atheist who thought there was zero chance of an afterlife to a skeptical atheist who thinks an afterlife is highly probable, come check out my books. WTF Just Happened. To get more information on what the fuck just happened, go to WTFJustHappened.net. There you can order my book, WTF Just Happened, A Sciencey Skeptic Explores Grief, Healing, and Evidence of an Afterlife. You can learn all about how I came to conclude that there most likely is an afterlife, but you can also learn about the early stages of my grief and the amazing, fascinating people I met along the way. You can read about how much I harassed the mediums and scientists trying to get evidence to see if the mediums were cheating and see if what everyone was saying actually was true. You can also subscribe to our newsletter to stay updated on any new developments and any interesting new what the fuck updates. So if you enjoyed this episode, please rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. It makes such a difference, especially for a new podcast like this one. And if any of you have had a crazy what the fuck yourself, have any questions, feedback, or just want to say hey, reach out on either Instagram at WTF_just_happened_, or email me at hello@WTFJustHappened.net. I love hearing from all of you. It makes my day hearing your stories and questions and feedback and all of it. And remember, you don't have to draw any final conclusions as you wonder, what the fuck just happened?